So round two, we ended up playing Fire and Dice. So we had two Fire and Dice teams there, and this was essentially our A team versus our B team. So Fire and Dice Targaryen, which was us, against Fire and Dice Tiger's Eye. And so arguably the most important one for bragging rights and the like. And I ended up against Jim, who I hadn't played before. So I was confident about this matchup. I put it as a 4, so minor win. I spoke to Byron, and actually as he was putting it down, I was like, actually, I think this might be a major win. There was enough in the list that I felt I was very strongly favoured. The only question was Purge can kind of be a bit of a leveller, so I wasn't sure if I could get it from a 4 to a 5. We sort of ended up on that sort of 4, 5 to 5, and ended up with this matchup. So, Thousand Suns, they're not always a great matchup for Death Guard. Their damage can line up well, but I was reasonably confident that I had generally the toughness to do it. So, Araman, Prince with Wings, and the Eldritch Vortex, which is the enhancement that you normally see on the Infernal Master for the +1 damage on psychic weapons. So Demon Prince comes down, uses its Dark Blessing to get a very scary profile there. Sorcerer and a Terminator Sorcerer that goes with a Terminator unit. Couple of Rubik squads, Vortex Beast, 1 big Terminators, 2 5 Terminator squads. A couple of Secretary robots, which I've always been impressed with, and then a few Zangor units, Enlightened Bows, and the foot ones to round up this. So we've got a decent amount of chap. We are roughly equal in terms of drops. He's got these units to sort of skirmish nicely and counter my Poxwalkers. So I guess the worry is that he's going to have enough chaff to force me to commit first. But the good news is I don't think once I commit, he's got the right amount of damage to sort of hold a Death Guard onslaught back. The Terminator units with the Sorcerer are definitely a scary unit, and the crystal for their teleport is going to be a problem. But I don't think Rubik's have a weight of dice to do it. The Vortex Beast is good but swingy. And if these 2 5 units were another 10 with the Terminator Sorcerer, I'd be more worried about this matchup because there's a lot of damage 1 and lethals and things from the Terminators. But essentially it feels like I've got 2 hammers to his 1, and the rest of his damage just doesn't line up that well into me. So that's why I put it as favoured going into the matchup. So, that said, we're on Purge the Foe. So old kill 1, kill more. And kill 1, kill more, hold 1, hold more. And we're on Crucible Deployment. Again, my Terminator in reserve. There's a vague argument that Thousand Suns have good invuln, so you could take -1 to hit because everything of theirs essentially has an invuln. But I viewed the -1 save contagion as essentially ignore cover, and if I'm ever on the fence, I take the -1 save contagion. It just... I'm always on the theory that, -1 hit is nice, but if they're dead, it doesn't matter what their minus is. So deployment. Crucible kind of always affects deployment. There's one big bit of terrain here. You can't get a lot here, and you can't get that much here. So this is me. I think I've scouted my spawn up a little bit here already. But very central to the main brick. The Blight Haulers don't do that much. I've got 2 in the middle to counter Vortex Beasts, we'll see in a second. And then the others are kind of spread around. Opponent has a reasonable amount of reserves. He's got a Prince, he's got a 5-man Terminator, he's got a Rubik squad. So I do have to respect and screen against teleport threat, especially as there's the 10-man Rubiks, 10-man Terminator squad on the board with the crystal, so it can sort of teleport over here. So this is why this drone's a bit further back than I'd probably like it to be. And that's just kind of life. The tally man is on the home field to sticky, and then to move up back and sort of screen out the space here. Poxwalkers infiltrate on this objective. I'm always a little bit on the fence if this is correct or not on Purge. It does give the opponent a chance at a kill more, but it also does have a sticky, and it forces them out as well. Against Thousand Suns, I thought it's not trivial for them to take them out. They infiltrated one squad here first, so I thought these guys might be safe. The second squad infiltrated here. If I'd gone first, I'd have stickied and probably run away. I'd have tried to advance behind here, but alas, didn't happen. Opponent went first, which overall is a good thing. It means Poxwalker's in trouble, but having the information on Purge is obviously really nice. And in a tight game, it means you're likely to get the whole more at the end, so you're sort of 4 points up, and you'll probably get a few more. You'll know what you need to get for kill more, so you can target things easier around that to get some points. So always nice to go second on Purge if you're a bit on the fence. 1,000 Tons went first. A little bit view of their deployment. This is a Vortex Beast here, Muselix Vortex Bird, as Jim kept calling it. And then they've got a sort of good amount of Zangor screens and some Terminators here. It's not impossible for me to shoot these Terminators if I go first. But if they're not in contagion range, 2-up save with cover means I'm not realistically doing a lot to them. And it gives them a good position to come and contest this objective earlier. So, little bit of a risk from Jim, but I think a reasonable one. And if I shoot them, then the bird can come and shoot a scary railgun at my guys. Jim went first. He had overforce, so he really wanted to come and take out my Poxwalkers here. So he fends all Zangwards and the 2 robot squads. This is an interesting one because we both went into it with the expectation that Death Guard were going to win, and therefore that Jim's job was as a blunter. And with that in mind, it makes this decision very interesting because it helps the overforce. He gets kill 1, it bags 9 points, but equally it means that I'm going to get some kills back. This is not a right or wrong. This is just an interesting decision point, and I'd have probably in Jim's position tried to play it a bit slow and try and delay Death Guard as long as possible. Have screens for more. In the end, his screens sort of worked fine as was. So it's a bit of a muchness, and it's just a personal preference thing. But yeah, the 2 Secateurs come out. They start flaming them. I really kind of want the Zangors to have to charge you, but he gets exactly enough to kill the Poxwalkers, because I don't have any way to get to the Zangars easily. But it's a sort of low-key decent one for 1,000 Suns. And yeah, just overview going into Death Guard. I don't have a lot of opportunity to enter anything meaningful, but there's a lot of screens exposed that I can go and kill. As I think this is a favourable matchup, I want to be a little bit more aggressive. I could just do something like put the spawn here, put this there, and call it a day, but I end up going a little bit more aggressive than that at the end. Oh yeah, and some Rubric Squad over here, which I think basically to use the psychic power to move these guys up and make sure they could see all of these guys, and they couldn't just kill like a few here and deny them line of sight. So, this is Death Guard. This is the end of their turn 1. And early aggression from them. So, the nice thing about Purge is that because it's only, well, I think it's a bad thing about Purge that you only get control 1 and control more. But the advantage of that from my perspective is that I don't have to deal with these Terminators this turn. As long as I take these 2 objectives, they're not getting hold more, I'm on my 3, it's all good. Well, that realistically means is that this drone here doesn't have to shoot them, and I don't have to put some spawn on the objective either. And I can go all in on sort of these 2 objectives to try and clear as much chaff as possible. So this drone ends up shooting the Rubric Squads here, taking out 4 of them, which is very nice. The drones take out some Secateur robots. I don't have any way to realistically get to the Zangors, so I sort of leave them alone. But I push these guys up reasonably aggressively. If the Vortex Beast comes out, I've got some really nice melter shots lined up, and the Prince can probably duel it in combat pretty well. I think the Spawn perform an action over here. So we don't do like crazy amounts of damage, but we start the game off quite well. And this is the problem where it comes back for 1,000 Suns, where they've got 38 wounds here to deal with, all of which are at least T7, and either have a Invuln or a Feel No Pain to get into, so it's really hard for them to take it out efficiently back. So yeah, this is the sort of top side of Death Guard deployment. Nothing is on this objective. The spawns stay here, just screening out. This drone stays here, just waiting for a target to open up, and then we have some screens around here to stop most of 1,000 Suns coming in. So, 1,000 Suns, a little bit on the back foot, but they've still got most of their big units left. They've got their big Terminator unit there. They've got a little unit there here that's holding the objective, and they've still got plenty of chaff around to keep contesting things. But they are going to need some damage to kind of push me back, which is the hope. And I've still got my Death Shroud and my Bloodlords in reserve to come in and counterattack wherever they decide to push if I need to. Don't normally take pictures of people, but when Jim saw I was taking some photos, he struck a pose, so forced into taking a photo that's made it on here. So, skipping ahead over 1,000 Suns and Death Guard terms, first photos. So they put their Vortex Beast out over here. I responded with drones, I killed it. I kind of wanted to get live ruined for Prince could charge and maybe get uphill a bit, but it's not the end of the world. They didn't. They deep struck their Demon Prince here and sniped out my Tallyman with one of the spells, and then it shot one of the units. It didn't do much damage, even with the +1 damage. It's wounding on 5s, I think. And it mostly bounced out with much effect. I got a little worried about the Prince. I only had one drone on my home objective, so I felt the need to deep strike the Blightlords in. It just meant that I could focus on killing the Vortex Beast without having to worry, and it also meant that the grenade drones could be free to go elsewhere. So Blightlords deep struck, they took the Prince after it took out my Tallyman. I took out the Vortex Beast with essentially these units here. I chipped away, I killed 2 Terminators. These are both grenade drones, but they charged in. The spawn failed the charge because of inch from the wall and they couldn't get round. But it means I had 5 OC on the objective from the 2 spawn here, and because of how the Terminators were positioned, one had to hit this one had to hit this one, and one, if it wanted to pilot and hit everything, had to hit the spawn because they were the closest unit. They ended up hitting the spawn, they lost 1 or 2 Terminators. And this is what I like about the drones, because they're tough. I could send them in, I could dump their OC on the point, and even though Terminators are going to hit hard enough, I can just drown the objective and OC and make life very awkward. So, yep, my Moa drones came over here, they killed most of the Zangor, they left 1 alive, and again, similar to the turn before, I've got a lot of tough bodies in the middle, and 1,000 Suns they're bleeding units at this point. The score is pretty much neck and neck. I haven't been able to get any hold more. I think this Zangor stopped me getting kill more as well, which is very annoying. But we're in a good spot, and again we're bleeding 1,000 Suns of resources, and we're forcing them to try and make a big play into a mostly intact Death Guard list. So this was 1,000 Suns, sort of how they'd been screening. I can't get anything in aggressively in terms of my Terminators. They made an interesting, probably quite a smart choice to move their Terminator back. They didn't want them to come out them in the middle where grenade drones in particular probably pick them up, and then these guys probably teleport to shoot them. They've got very nice profiles into shooting other Terminator equivalents. So they screen back. It technically keeps them out of the game, but it also provides screening here, and they've got the crystals so they can teleport in. I think this is actually quite a nice little move, so worth highlighting. And their Bogos have been jumping in and out off the objective, and whenever I get closer, they just run away, which is a bit annoying, but kind of what you expect. That said, it's turn 3. 1,000 Suns are feeling it, and because my Tallyman's dead, I don't really have enough units to screen out the backfield, and they found a nice little spot over here to come and get, and then they end up using a spell to move closer. So these guys aren't in rapid fire range at the start, but the move from the spell allows them to get all their guys within 12, so they unload here. I used the rarely seen go to ground trap because I've only got 2 guys in cover, and actually it works very effectively. I only lose like 2 guys from all of their shooting, maybe 3, and it just blunts, and it puts me in a good spot because I've got essentially 2 units that can answer the Terminators, which are the Death Shroud in reserve and the Blightlords. The grenade drones are perfectly into them as well, but they're not going to blow a whole unit to pieces. And what this means is I can go into my turn and I have 2 options. One is the singles options, one is the team's option. So the singles option is I bring the Death Shroud back to deal with these guys, and I just make sure I secure the win. 1,000 Suns are then essentially out of damage, I don't have to take any risks. I'm going to start to bully the middle. But actually, I have a little chat with my captain. I go, do you want me to push, or do you want me to just take a sort of small win? And I get the call to push, which might have been the correct option sort of either way. But it's the slightly riskier option. So the Death Shroud have two options at this point. They can come here and respond to them and ensure the win, or they can go after Thousand Suns' home objective, which is now exposed. It means they're kind of wasted points, but it does mean that it completely starts to nil the Thousand Suns' primary game, which is often quite hard to stop and purge. Other nice thing that happens, the Rubik squad in reserve comes in and starts to flame spawn, but even on the objective with rerolls and all this stuff, spawn are just naturally tough, and it's very awkward to get through. I think they only kill one and maybe injured the other one. So Thousand Suns, they set up for a big turn. They mostly whiff the Death Guard in a pretty good spot. They make their push on the right flank. Similar thing here. I think they kill one of these guys. But this guy does nicely, and this one ends up exploding on this guy. So they can't even do any actions or start anything in case this one dies. And it keeps things going very nicely. They do nicely to stop the Thousand Suns do well to stop the Death Guard scoring here. They get two of their OC2 guys here to contest it from the Prince. The Thousand Suns very quickly running out of reasonable damage, and Death Guard have still got a lot left. So yeah, just an overview going into Death Guard turn 3. We've got a lot of assets here. The Terminators are a pain, but they're not on my objective. They do need to be dealt with, but they are also a little bit out of the game, and I've got units that can react to them reasonably well. So, I send the Blight Lords back. They take an Overwatch. I think the Overwatch does more damage than their initial shooting, sort of balancing it out a low roll with a high roll. I shoot the 2 grenades. I shoot the Blight Lords with the rerolls. They really carve in. This is... I actually do like no damage in combat, but my shooting goes so well that I just body them. I leave them with like 1 Terminator and the character. And I make sure I've got 3 guys on the objective, so... even if things go wrong in later turns or they fall back, they're not taking my home objective away, and it means that control more starts becoming essentially a default from this point for Death Guard. Because Thousand Suns don't have any fallback into anything, I chuck a Blight Hauler and a Spawn in here. They don't do much damage, but again, it's just keeping units tied up, and again, they're more than 6 from the objective, so even if they try and desperate break out through, they can't get to the objective, and it keeps primary going, because this is, again, a sticky objective. In the middle, Bogoat's being annoying. I set this guy up. I think he ends up actually doing Established Locus in the zone. Death Shroud popping over here-ish. They don't shoot, and they kill all the Zangors that were over here and take the objective, so they completely start to nil primary from Thousand Suns, and we try and make life hard for them here and here, stopping them against the middle. Annoyingly, I'm not getting kill more as often as I'd like. We often do a lot of damage, but end up sort of pretty equal on kills. But Thousand Suns aren't getting it either, so we're going into turn 3, and scores are pretty much deadlock. I think I'm leading by like a couple of points, but it's very much sort of 10-10, 11-9 on WTC scoring on the team score. So it starts to escalate from here, but it's still very close to this stage on the scoreboard at least, even though attrition I'm miles up. Blurry shot, so apologies, but Thousand Suns doing what they can. So at this stage, we know the result is beyond doubt. Death Guard are going to win, and it's trying to push those differentials. So the Thousand Suns trying to find ways to contest this objective. This one isn't hard. They move some guys over here in a second. I think they try and get onto this objective with enough guys to contest. In the backfield, these Terminators are just ground down by the Blight Lords there. Their damage doesn't stack too well into me. I don't even need to pop -1 damage, and now just slowly grind my way through these guys. Over the top, again, a bit of a grind. Thousand Suns actually end up winning this fight, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. The Sorcerer survives on a wound and ends up killing these guys and might fall back onto the objective for some reason, I can't remember. And because he does well, he actually, again, he stops, I think, Thousand Suns, stops Death Guard getting killed more despite actually doing a lot of damage to Thousand Suns again, which is a bit annoying, but there we are. And yep, Death Shroud come and they make themselves very comfortable on the Thousand Suns home objective. Thousand Suns have no way to get back to this objective, never mind contest it. So we start getting kill more from sort of turn 4 onwards, I think, at this point. In the middle, Thousand Suns setting up their play to try and deny this objective, so they get 2 of these guys on here, and then Araman and friends charge the drone, so they get 2, 4, 6, 7 on their Sigma 6. The Prince come in, he kills all 3 of these guys, he does a little bit of wounds to Araman. It means that it just confirms that Death Guard are getting hold more, and I think it denies an overforce as well to Thousand Suns, and this is when the snowballing of the score really starts to come out. So yeah, Thousand Suns have this unit left here, and that's essentially it. They have a character here on a wound. They have Araman here who falls back and he's on a wound or 2. And we try and line up some charges here. They all fail, but the Prince and the drone take him out. And I think we shoot off the character here with a Reaper autocannon or something, just to really ensure there's no way back for Thousand Suns. They can't do much to cap the scoring. Yep, they've still got an annoying character here. Maybe at this stage I might be getting my turns wrong, but Thousand Suns out of unit. They're struggling to keep in the game. Yeah, there we are. One character and 1 wound. I draw Assassinate, so I'm able to take him off, although he does get a Storm hostile before that happens, because it was a sticky objective. Down here, Terminators come in. They manage to deny the objective. They don't kill the drone. It survives on a single wound, which is annoying for them. Keeps the Terminators pinned in place. I desperate escaped. No, I don't desperate escape. Fall back to not let them have a kill. And then, yeah, final thing in the game, we pick off the last characters, we charge everything in here, we exactly kill them all, and we end up with a 17-3 victory. So we managed to snowball the score very hard on the last couple of turns. Thousand Suns, essentially once their Terminator brick whiffed, they just didn't have the damage to deal with Death Guard, in particular this type of Death Guard list. So we could very quickly start disrespecting them, and just, even if the Thousand Suns Terminators really pop off, if they take out the Blight Lord brick, either completely or effectively, so they just got like a dude left or something, my drones can probably keep them in combat, keep them tied up, and wherever those Terminators go, they might carve out a sort of quarter where they have control, but the other areas, the other 4 objectives, they're not ever really regaining control of them. So nice comfortable victory for Death Guard in the end. For the rest of the team, we had 3 big wins for Targaryen side. So I got 17-3, Sam smashed Nico 20-0 in the CSM Blood Angels game, and Dennis beat Lawrence 16-4, which was Necrons versus Orcs. Thomas beat Byron. We're all a bit worried about the Sisters list, especially as in the game previous, Thomas had killed 5 rated demons in 1 turn, I believe it was, with Val just popping off. So putting Byron into it was a bit of a risk. We knew it wasn't favoured for us, especially after hearing that story between rounds. So 14-6 was one of those, like, cool, we'll take it. And then Zan on Death Guard beat Haristo's Nids, much more Defiler heavy build, and pushing aggressively into Haristo's. So, but we won the round reasonably comfortably, 66-34 for Targaryen into Tiger's Eye.